So for today's topic, let's talk about fan ideas that I'd like to see happen on the series. MLP's been doing pretty good about giving the fans what they want. And while I'm not trying to make Hasbro notice me, nor am I expecting them to, so that they can put my ideas on the show, I just want to say out loud some of the things that I've been thinking about, and maybe someday I'll be able to say, I called it! I'd like to go back to the Equestria Girls world and take a look at the character of Principal Cinch and find out what would happen if she had to butt heads with a Crystal Prep teacher who was extremely honest. Another idea I'd like to see happen in the Equestria Girls world is a reform and revenge episode for the Dazzlings. Something that would start out as the Dazzlings trying to get their revenge as they try to reclaim their power. But it would then turn into the reform episode, at least for one or two of the three, if not for all three. Another thing that I'd like to see on the MLP series is a reconciliation for Coco and Suri Polymere. Even if the character doesn't get reformed, I'd like to see Coco, who's strong and confident and well employed and doing great things on her own, run back into Suri Polymere, who abused her and talked down to her and held her back, and see how the two would interact in an awkward situation where they're forced to be together for one reason or another. What would they talk about? What would they bring up? How would they act around each other? And how long would they awkwardly dislike each other before they tried the more friendship approach? And I'd like to see a return of Big Mac as cousin Orchard Blossom. There's a lot of ways that this could play out. Like possibly a situation where Big Mac has to be both Big Mac and Orchard Blossom on the same day, and he has to run back and forth changing costumes. Or possibly another situation where it's a female-only situation, and Applejack is again unavailable, and Big Mac has to again fill the female part and do something with Apple Bloom or somebody else where he has to be a female in order to do it. Or maybe even a situation where Big Mac is told to put on a disguise so he can serve his government in some kind of spy-related adventure. Or maybe some pony who saw Big Mac during the Sisterhood's social thinks cousin Orchard Blossom is a real character, and he needs to find a way to delicately break the truth to this person, and he has to put on the false persona again long enough to get around to explaining the situation of what really happened. I think there's a good number of ideas that could still work with this character. Beyond those things, the only other ideas that I'd like to see happen with My Little Pony are the things that I've said over and over again. But now that the CMC Daniere Cutie Marks is checked off of the to-do list, we can put more focus on some of these other popular ideas that have been around for quite a while. Like the possibility of seeing Trixie come back now that she's been reformed. What is she doing with her life? And has that reformation truly stuck? What is Lightning Dust up to, and what kind of events could reform her? Could Wind Rider come back with some kind of revenge plan against Rainbow Dash? Maybe even teaming up with Lightning Dust at that particular moment. Could the brothers Flim and Flam be possibly up to even more shenanigans in the future, cooking up yet another cockamamie plan to stand ponies out of their hard-earned bits. And will we ever get a moment where characters from the human world cross over into the pony world and have to adapt to being ponies after spending so much time as being humans? Or maybe Sunset Shimmer herself will return in some capacity to being a pony in Equestria. And if we ever do that time travel plot that is most certainly coming up in the future at some point, will we take the two clear paths of correct timeline and incorrect timeline wherein only one can exist, or will we go a more multiverse route and have multiple timelines with multiple universes and they all have the right to exist, and the time traveler feels bad for having to erase one future to preserve another future? Be an interesting moral dilemma to have a character that we sympathize with who only exists in the altered timeline and who we don't want to see get erased from the timeline when history is put back in the right way. Ever since the series has been presenting us with many of the things that we've wanted all along, like Rainbow Dash getting to be a Wonderbolt, and Rarity getting to have her own boutique, and getting to see some of the parents of some of the characters, getting a confirmation that Applejack's parents really are dead, and seeing the Cutie Mark Crusaders get their Cutie Marks. Many of our wishes coming true in one episode. In fact, I feel like I don't have too much to blabber on about. But we do have a good number of things that have popped up in new episodes that make me wish that those story arcs could be continued. Anyhow, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and good night.